Good morning, folks. Just heading out on a trip to Voyageurs National Park. We'll do a stop in Bemidji en route overnight tonight so I can visit some family up there. It's raining down heavily right now, so the roads will be wet this morning. It's supposed to clear up this afternoon and be just mostly cloudy. So I'm hoping the rain will stop sooner rather than later. Got everything loaded okay, I think. Went through the checklist a few times, so I think I got everything, but until you get up on the trip, you really don't know. Checklists help to ensure you don't leave things behind. But the heavy rain this morning made it a little awkward to get to the truck. Everything was getting wet. I had to cover my pillow with my other bags. I just hope they'll dry out. Traffic is still some late rush hour traffic, so it'll be a little bit crowded for sections of 694, Interstate 694, until we get up to Highway 10 going northwest towards Bemidji. Right now it's moving along okay. I'm hoping to avoid bumper to bumper if possible. We'll talk to you later, folks. We're just coming into Big Lake. Still raining, pretty steady, but we're making progress. Not using the cameras for October, I guess, September. It's you tend to forget things, where to find things on the screen, and we keep practicing, but we never get it 100%. Too much time lapse between videos, and too easy to forget things. You get an idea of what the conditions are. Pretty nasty weather. I'd hate to have to launch in this. I think I would be inclined not to launch and just stay on the boat till it stopped. It'd be pretty miserable to launch in this kind of rain. Traffic around 694 was moved along. There was some bumper to bumper, but not bad. I was going the right direction in general, and then once I got onto 10 going northwest, it was pretty straightforward, moving along well. And now we're well to the north, so there's no longer any city traffic. We'll probably stop in Little Falls, although I'm not really hungry. I often take a break there when I'm going up to the Bemidji. I think we'll stop and just take a break, get a cup of coffee, probably have a light breakfast. Anyway, we'll check back with you then. Okay, we're heading out back on the road at Little Bugaboo here at Little Falls. When I got out of the truck, I noticed that the nav lights on the boat were on, and I checked the switch is off. Obviously I had a problem. The panel and the cockpit evidently shorted out with all this rain. So I just got done pulling the fuse. Lights are off now, so that's a good thing. Still raining. It's not cooperating like I'd hoped it would. So we'll get back on Highway 10 and head north. I got a couple more hours to go. I hope my panel dries out. I've had failures of the switches in the panel on the cockpit before, so it's not new. It's not a very watertight panel, even though it's an exterior panel. The switches themselves end up failing. I've had to replace switches, and then on one trip, the bilge pump switch wouldn't work, so I ended up swapping them around in order to get it to work. And I did get it to work and function for that remaining part of that trip, but I replaced the panel after that. Kept a couple of switches for future needs if the new panel fails. We're on Highway 10 going up to Motley, and then we hit 64 there and go north to Bemidji. Stopped for breakfast. Really didn't need any breakfast, but it's a good thing I did stop because I found out I had a problem, and all that, if the nav lights are running, it's powering down the ship's battery. Starting battery runs off that battery, and solar does not repower it or recharge it. It's preventing any further drain on that battery is important. I do bring an emergency jump start pack, I guess you call it, in case I do have a failure of the house or any other battery that's necessary for starting the engine. And I also have a manual rope if I can rig that up in an emergency too, so there's other options. Long and the short is we're on the road again. According to the forecasts, I just did an update there while I was eating breakfast and realized that this rain will probably persist almost all the way to Bemidji. Should start to quit maybe around 1 o'clock, just about the time I arrive, which will be good to have it not raining then. That's an update. Did confirm with my daughter that the Zoleo system is working, so those that in my family are tracking my travels, they know where I'm at. Talk to you soon. We're just south of Bemidji, about 30 miles. Just light sprinkles now. Sometimes the road is even dry. Temperatures there around Little Falls were colder. It was actually 39 degrees there in Little Falls, but now it's already up to 47 here, so there's a real line of temperature difference there. So some kind of front. This road is Highway 64. It's not very busy. It's usually a fairly infrequent traffic on this road. I think a lot of national forest land or state forest. So we should arrive in Bemidji at about 1:30 thereabouts. I'll probably stop and get fuel before we proceed out to my sister's place. Spend some time with family this evening over at my brother's for dinner. So we'll have a nice gathering this time, and then next time I come back, hopefully I'll see my other brother and his wife. Got 3 brothers and a sister that live in Bemidji. This is my hometown. Still I'll have quite a few family members that live up there. But the weather is definitely improving. The skies are a little lighter out to the north. Roads are beginning to dry out. Temperatures are warming up. So things are looking good for tomorrow for the launch. I'm hoping that we'll have light winds to go out and find a boat site for that first night, and that the launch goes smoothly. It's always a intense effort to try to get things ready for a trip like that. The average is still around 3 hours of rigging time, and I've got 2 new solar panels for the aft bimini that will take time to set up. That's the first time that I've used these panels on a trip. I built a new aluminum frame for the panels that go over the aft bimini. Also, I've got the inflatable this time, so no kayak, it'll be an inflatable with an electric motor. So rigging that up and getting it pumped up and making sure the tow rig is going to work. That's another complication because it's never been in the water. I built a rig that I think will work, but until you test it, you don't know how well it's going to work. The point of the tow rig is to make sure that when you back up, the boat is controlled and there's no loose lines that get caught around the prop, and that basically you can back up without ever being concerned about that boat being towed behind. I will leave the inflatable inflated for the full trip, probably mount the motor permanently as well for the trip. Just leave it on there. I don't think it'll swing around where the motor could hit the boat. I don't think it can turn that far. And so I think that'll work the best instead of having to rig the motor up each time. However, I will need to charge it from time to time, so I will need to remove it on occasion. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. Those are some of the new things that I'm trying out this trip. I think I mentioned trouble with my nav lights. I pulled the circuit breaker and that turned those lights off. I'm just hoping that switch will dry out, perhaps overnight, so I don't need to worry about that. The chances of having to use the nav lights on this trip are pretty slim anyway, but I just installed them, so I don't want them to. I'd like to test them actually a little bit on the trip, even though I may not need lights. Sometimes run into some thick fog where lights are required. So got a rig stopped up here. I'm not sure what this is about. Looks like they might have a flat. No, those are trucks. I don't know what they're doing. All right, folks, we just arrived in Bemidji. Roads are currently dry, high overcast with a few light spots. We're just on the bypass going around the city. We go north 5 or 6 miles to my sister's house. I'll probably pick up gas somewhere along the way here. Timing is about right. We expect it to arrive about 1:30, and it's about 1:15 right now. By the time I get gas and get out to my sister's house, it'll be 1:30. Timing's worked out good. Weather's definitely improved and warmed up. It's now 51 degrees. It was 39 when I left Little Falls. Of course, it's later in the day, so it'll warm up a little bit, but probably not that much. I think there's a definite frontal boundary there that's making the difference. We'll talk to you guys probably in the morning again. I'm I'm not sure what I'm going to do for heat tonight because I think it's going to get kind of cold. I could put the chimney up, I guess, to do that so I don't freeze to death, but we'll see. We'll play that by ear. It's always more pleasant in the morning to have a little heat in the cabin. I usually do my study in the morning and make a cup of coffee, have some cookies. It's more pleasant if you're not freezing half to death. So we'll see. I'll have to think about that and decide what to do for the morning. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Good morning, folks. Just headed off from Bemidji from my sister's house this morning. It's currently about 8:20 in the morning. Temperature's 43. It's warming up a little bit. It was pretty cold this morning. A little bit of rain through the night, off and on. I slept a little bit fitfully because I had coffee late in the evening. I had dinner over at my brother's place. Ate a big meal and had coffee afterwards, which was probably a mistake. Although, I don't know, it could be the anxiousness of just going on the trip. Sometimes that's part of it. But comfortably, the bed was comfortable. My sister lent me a electric heater and a cord, so I was able to hook up to power. Didn't have to use my propane heater to heat the cabin this morning because it was, I think, about 41 this morning when I got up, so it was pretty cold. And so I heated it up pretty good in the cabin and made coffee and did my morning study. And then my sister fed me a big bacon and egg breakfast. So I feel pretty full right now. Should have the energy to get through to the evening meal. I was going to stop somewhere along the way here and have a snack, but I don't think I'm going to need to do that. Some of the countryside, there's not much to see in this area. It's pretty gray this morning. Still a little bit of mist from time to time. This stretch of road up to International Falls is about 2 hours. It's going to be pretty light traffic, so should be an easy drive. The road right now is dry and it's warming up a little bit. It was actually warmer in International Falls this morning, 48 up there, and it's supposed to warm up into the 60s today. The sun will come out, however, there also will be more wind than I expected, so I'm a little bit unsure of how we're going to work that out. We'll have to play that by ear when I get up there. I may have to modify my intended destination for the day because of the wind. The seas could get built up pretty good. Wind is out of the east, and the acreage I was planning to spend the night at has an open aspect to the east, so that would not be a good spot. So I may have to modify. There's a little closer boat site that would be protected from the east, so I may go there. Everything depends on the weather and how things go with the launch. Getting up there early enough in the day that I shouldn't have to rush too much, or at all, I shouldn't say. I should be able to take my time and get everything in place. Just north of Big Falls, maybe about 10 miles or so, and about 20 miles to take a right turn into International Falls. Terrain, we're kind of going through bog country here, up kind of flat and boggy and swampy. In fact, about 15 miles back, I saw a moose. Cow moose was standing on the edge of the road. I saw him quite a ways away. Didn't get my cameras going because I thought it was somebody walking along the highway. It was just standing there. And as I got closer, I realized it was a moose. Tried to turn my cameras on, and it was just too late. I went by him before I had a chance to get things going. Anyway, it was kind of an interesting sight. I wasn't expecting to see moose here, but it is moose country, so I'm not, I guess, not totally surprised. It looked like a younger cow, kind of curious, and saw me coming and then just watched, and then as I got real close, jumped off the edge of the road and went back into the swamp there. But as you can see ahead, the skies are blue now, or coming out to blue. Still some high clouds, but the rain has stopped and it's warming up fast. We got 53 degrees and things are looking up for the launch. Much better weather. I don't see a lot of wind. There is some, but I'm not sure if the 14-mile-an-hour wind they talked about will be. I'm hoping it does not occur. Something less than 10 would be great. We probably have close to that right now. So anyway, this is kind of what the terrain looks like in this area. We're just north, like I said, north of Big Falls, about 23 miles before we make the right turn. Total distance for the right turn is 16 miles actually, and then about another 15 beyond that to get to our destination. We'll get back to you when we get closer to the park and give you an update. All right, folks, we're approaching the park. Sun has come out, as you can see. It's going to warm up quickly with sunshine. Mixed bag, I guess. I was expecting it to be more cloudy. Warm, but cloudy. So I'll have to be careful about sun exposure here so I don't get burned. And we'll go down in here to see what we've got to find. I'm hoping it won't be too busy. There was a launch ramp back there. There was quite a few cars there, so I don't know if that's a bad sign or not. We'll find out. It's about a half a mile or so in here, and I could see a little bit of breeze on the water. As long as I'm in protected areas, I don't think it'll be a problem, but there's some stretches that will be a little more open if I try to get to the spot I'm thinking about for the evening. So we'll just have to play that by ear. But the weather is certainly much more pleasant for setting up and launching. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, right turn here. Well, my spot that I was going to take is taken. That's not good, but there's another spot. Well, he didn't park straight. Looks like there's another spot that'll work though. We've arrived.